thank you. And thank you for being here. How many people in this house, I'm just wondering, have ever heard of Evenings for Sale? On this schedule? Me neither. 6 months ago. Truly, I stumbled onto it on YouTube, of all things. And stumble is the word, and it's a barely watchable print. Not terrible, you can get through it, and it's only an hour and 1 minute long. But, what a discovery. Now, I don't want to oversell it. It's a minor film, but I found it very enjoyable and rewarding. And I think it is kind of a little gem. Now, this is 1932. This is the year that Paramount went into receivership during the Great Depression. The whole movie business was teetering on the brink. And yet, I'm going to use notes. I hate using notes, but in this case, I didn't want to forget things. And yet, that studio that year released Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, $1 Million Legs, Horse Feathers, 1 Hour with You, Love Me Tonight, Blonde Venus, Night After Night, Hot Saturday, and If I Had a Million.
Wow.
That was not a good year. Man. Perhaps by the time this film came out in November of that year, it may have seemed anticlimactic. Mordaunt Hall, the New York Times critic, had to go out to Brooklyn, seat at the Brooklyn Paramount Theater. That's where he recorded his review from. And maybe it's the fact that Herbert Marshall had already done 4 movies for Paramount that year, including Trouble in Paradise, the great Ernst Lubitsch film. So maybe it was just that this film was kind of taken for granted, or taken with a grain of salt somehow, not invested in. It can't be coincidence. It's directed by Stuart Walker, who had a brief and mostly undistinguished career, but it was written by women. The source material was a short story by I.A.R. Wiley, the Australian-born author who was the source of something like 30 movies, notably Four Sons and Keeper of the Flame. The screenplay is credited to S.K. Lauren, a playwright whose other film credits include Blonde Venus and Damsel in Distress, not bad, and Agnes Brand Leahy, who worked as a stenographer at Paramount before getting an opportunity to write for Clara Bow in the late 1920s. She died very young. She died in 1934 at the age of 40. But there's 3 interesting women associated with the writing of this film. Now, pre-code. Yes, of course it's pre-code because, among other things, the title. Now, this is just a year or so after Cole Porter wrote the song Love for Sale, which was banned from performance on radio, and which is introduced in a Broadway review sung by a prostitute. A what? Yes, I mean, on Broadway, you could do that. It would still raise eyebrows, but you could do that. In Hollywood, never. But a movie called Evenings for Sale wouldn't have passed muster, in 1935. 1932, they got away with it. Charlie Ruggles, who's in this movie, had already appeared in 11 movies that year alone.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. And one of the things I love about the film is the score. There's not an original score, but the beauty of the studio system is that Paramount had already released and produced Love Me Tonight and The Big Broadcast, all of which, both films had lots and lots of songs, many of which became very popular. Well, the music director, the uncredited music director here, had free use of them. Paramount owned them. They owned the publishing company that published those songs. So without spending a dime, they had a Rodgers and Hart score, Robin and Ranger score right at their command. Herbert Marshall is as ever, Herbert Marshall. He's young and dashing. Mary Boland, who often played broad, bull in a china shop type character, brassy women. This film gives her more opportunity for nuance, and her character is not as broad, and I think more human. All of these interesting things come together in this movie that has been unseen, unsought. You know, sometimes a film isn't so much lost as not looked for. You know, if no one's looking for it, they're not going to find it. So I hope that this screening generates more interest in it and keeps it alive. And I thank Charlie Tabish, the Senior Director of Programming for TCM, for taking my tip and booking this print we're about to see. It's got to look better than it does on YouTube. And I thank you all for coming. Thank you very, very much.